Howdy folks, welcome back to WAC. Today, I'll be covering everything you need to know on the new seasonal unit, the Elite Satellite. It's actually fairly exciting and has some major implications for Conflict of Nations. I apologize for taking so long to get this video out, but getting footage for new units in CoN takes a couple days or even weeks. I have to build up, research, and deploy, and I have to survive long enough in order to use a new unit. So, needless to say, it's a bit of a process. Well, let's start with some basic information on the satellite. It is the game's first space object, and in many ways functions the same as aircraft. It is slow and has practically no HP, but has amazing view range, aka sight range, and does not need to be refueled at an airbase. At the max level, the view range reaches a whopping 250, and it can scout and reveal stealth of any land or air units. This view range is so damn high that you can easily scout SAMs and theater defense systems without being within their view range. But we already have long-ranged aircraft that can become stealth and scout, don't we? Well, yes, the UAV fills a similar role, but there are actually enough differences as to where both units will be useful for different scenarios. The Elite Satellite can see units in the early game, but cannot scout until the max level. UAVs have the edge here because they are the cheapest way to scout in the early game. However, UAVs aren't stealth until the max level, whereas the Satellite is stealth from the very start. So between the two, I'd say the Satellite will be better 9 times out of 10. However, if you plan on researching cruise missiles, then the UAV might just be the better option. But the undeniable truth is that the ludicrous sight range of the satellites is a serious game changer, since you can avoid stealth detection. So how the hell does one counter a satellite? Well, the best option is to use another max level satellite to counter scout. Unfortunately, once the season is over, only people who have purchased Security Council will be able to use them. So that is an unfortunate pay-to-win reality here. The second, somewhat effective method is to use stealth air superiority fighters to scan sections of airspace in order to sniff a satellite out. However, the satellite owner will be able to see whatever is seeking them out, and if they have a good air force, then it will be fairly easy to keep their space objects safe. On that topic, it is quite interesting to see that these are labeled as space objects and not satellites. This leads me to believe that there may be more space objects in the future. Perhaps they'll add space-based EMPs or other space-based weapons in the future. Well, I've used the satellite in one game so far, so let me tell you my experience with them. Satellites at level 1 and 2 are very useful, but balanced. I say they are balanced because it is very expensive to research and mobilize them. You have to research ballistic missiles in order to unlock each level of them, and if you don't like using missiles, that is kind of a stinky situation. The mobilization costs are very, very high, but in the mid to late game, it's not too bad. Also, they take rare materials for upkeep, which sucks. But hey, you can only mobilize 5 of them at once, so it shouldn't cripple your rare material supply if you have a max level arms industry in your rare material city. Are you ever taking land with single units and they run into those random ass super annoying units that just sit in the middle of a province? Well, satellites of any level solve that, allowing you to clean up countries with ease. If you plan ahead and know where you need to have your satellites and when, the crazy slow speed doesn't end up being a big issue. I haven't encountered any major bugs yet with this unit. However, one satellite did try to refuel once, but once I set it on a different course, the issue fixed itself. It's nuts how having this elite unit will allow you to see stealth ASF and strike fighters. They are some of the best units in the game, but if your enemy happens to have satellites, then they can stop so many things. Special forces have always been lackluster, and since this update, I would now recommend against using any ground stealth forces. Honestly, if you are getting 5 buddies from Discord or elsewhere, and you are joining a fresh match, it might be a good idea to always have a satellite guy. Because if you don't have someone making satellites, and your enemy has them, there is a very good chance that you will get outflanked and outplayed. I can see what everyone else is building, and research and mobilized units to directly counter my enemies well before we ever go to war. The fog of war and not knowing what your enemies have has always been a dynamic and interesting thing to deal with. But if the unknown scares you, satellites are the solution. Well, I will continue to playtest these new pay-to-win units in the live game environment, and if I discover anything revolutionary, I'll be sure to let you know. I plan on making more content for CoN, and I'm excited for what is to come. Hopefully Dorado will add a non-premium counterpart to the Elite Satellites at some point, cause this shit's busted. Anyway, I think that covers everything, and if you have any specific questions, leave them in the comments below. See ya!